Thank you for tuning in today to I Retire for Him. Your retirement years can be 30 years filled with meaning and purpose as long as you connect your faith and your retirement days.
Welcome to I Retire for Him. We are your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Check us out online at iretireforhim.com.
You know, Michael Turner considers himself retired. Yet what does that really mean? Does it mean he's on a perpetual vacation, living in his RV? Or is there more work in his life? The question we'll be answering for all of us today is, can there be work and play coupled with meaning and purpose in our retirement years? Will those years surprise us with unsuspecting ministry opportunities? From Michael Turner, this is all part of his story. Let's get going. Michael Turner, welcome to I Retire for Him.
Thank you for having me, Jim and Martha. Appreciate you guys.
All right, so how long have you been retired?
I fully for only about a year, literally a year. But and that was literally, I think I finally pulled the plug on December 31st of last year. But I had about a 5-year wind down, which was pretty awesome. So I remained chairman of the board of the company that I co-founded nearly 20 years ago. So I had a great wind down period. So it wasn't quite as abrupt as a lot of folks.
That's so good for people to hear, because that wind down probably has helped these months to look very different. So tell us how God has been using you during your retirement, the time you've had so far.
Sure. Yeah. So I moved to Georgia with my youngest daughter. She was recruited. She's a gymnast. She was recruited by the University of Georgia. And I moved to Georgia because I was during that wind down period, and it was easy for me to do that at that point in time, and not knowing where. This is a very roundabout way to answer your question, Martha. So bear with me for a minute.
I will.
But anyway, not knowing where I really wanted to live, whether I would stay in Georgia or do something different once I got down here. That was TBD. I just did not know. So rather than secure a long-term place, I literally bought an RV. At that point, Anya and I, my younger daughter and I, were living in an apartment in the Denver area. So I bought an RV, motored out here to Georgia, and set that RV up on a campground here in central Georgia. And I know this sounds bizarre, but I lived in that campground in that RV for 16 months. Literally for 16 months.
Did it never occur to you as you were winding down for 5 years that you should be winding up something else?
That's a great question. It may be in part just personality, but I don't get bored. I tend to fill my time with lots of things. And I was doing a lot of charity work at that point in time. So I was never bored. And again, still staying involved in my company to a degree. So there was plenty to do during that wind down period when I was in Colorado. And then now coming here was much more uncertain, because at that point, right, I detached from a lot of the charity stuff I was doing back there, and also from a lot of my friends. But still, it worked out wonderfully. You were asking, what has the Lord had me do since I got here? Once I got to that campground and got settled in, it didn't take very long before some of the skills that I had built growing up started coming in really handy, specifically around handyman kind of stuff. I literally was praying, Lord, use me for whatever you would have me do today. If you'd have me interact with somebody, let it happen. And I could tell you, I don't know that there were any days when there wasn't somebody that needed help with something. Mm-hmm. So whether it was fixing a trailer, it was helping launch boats, it was fixing something, driving them somewhere, you name it, just tons and tons of stuff. Very, very large campground, by the way. I don't know, it probably holds 200 rigs, something like that. And there's also 25 full-time resident families there. So it's a big place. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he started using me in those capacities. And for whatever reason, along the way, this family that was working there asked me if I would fill in on one of the Sundays where they do their miniature church service. I didn't even know they had a miniature church service, by the way, but they did. They had this kind of little mini church service thing going on. They asked me if I'd fill in. This was fairly early on when I was there, and I said, "Sure, I'll fill in." I'm not a pastor, though. Beware. And
You're
I know
not a
Jim,
preacher.
you challenged that.
Wait a minute, you're not a preacher, is
Yeah,
what you
he
mean.
was just gonna
You
say.
haven't been a
Okay,
preacher
I'm not a
before,
preacher.
but
That's
you were,
okay.
but you were already pastoring at that point in time because you've been ministering to other people.
I knew you were going to correct me on that mentality.
That's good. At least I didn't surprise you because I'm just, like we're not going to have that kind of language here on this show. I mean, that's, let me just step back before you tell that story because I really, you spent 16 months in your camper, yet clearly you've grown soft in your older age because now you're in an apartment or your trailer got really big. I'm just looking at your background. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can tell what I'm talking about. I've seen Michael in the background when he's in his campground. What happened? What happened to that bold, Paul Bunyan-esque kind of personality that lived in a trailer for 16 months?
That's a great question. This is too much information, but it had to do with declaration of domicile. I needed to declare domicile somewhere. And at that point, I was literally declaring domicile out of Florida because it's one of the 3 states in the nation that allows you to not live there and declare domicile. But I needed real roots somewhere in Georgia. So I ended up leasing a condominium here. Now my RV is still down at the campground. It's in storage right now, but I pull it out and use it on occasion. But so it's 15 miles away.
Oh, that's so good.
Drive change with your change by using Project World Impact's Swipe feature, a tool that puts spare change to amazing use.
To get started, visit Project World Impact's website or download the PWI Swipe app and create a free account.
We invite you to choose I Work for Him as your nonprofit of choice. This partnership will ensure that more workplace believers discover that their workplace is their mission field.
Then you'll just enter your card details to link a credit or debit card. You can even link more than one if you prefer.
Just set it and forget it, and still impact workplaces and believers all around the world.
At the end of the month, the spare change from each purchase you make will be calculated and donated to I Work for Him.
It's that easy. No hidden fees, no extra work to do.
You've learned to partner with God in your work. Let's help more people come to that life-changing realization.
Sign up for Project World Impact Swipe today.
Okay, so as we are just kind of contemplating this, journey that you've been on, your wind down, and then what God had you doing in the campground, were you missing the daily grind of the job? Because I think that's a question a lot of retirees are fearful of. How did that affect you?
It's a great question, Martha. I did not or have not missed the daily grind. I have missed the people. I interacting with my leadership team, with all our folks. I miss that, and obviously since I moved, I miss my friends greatly that are there in the Denver area. However, missing the daily grind of the job, no. I mean, I started working really early, and it was an awful lot of work for an awful lot of years.
Yeah.
So that I have not missed. That I have not missed.
So in that wind down phase, did you take any time to think about what God had been preparing in you for the next phase of your life? I mean, the campground thing is kind of this transition phase, but have you been thinking about what God's been preparing for you next?
Jim, I tell you, this is the third time I've said this. Great questions. I did not know what he was preparing me for at that point in time. I truly did not. I knew there was something on the horizon. I could sense it, or whatever you want to call it. You put it in my heart. But I did not know what that was. I knew he was going to use me. I knew he was going to use my personality. I love people. I love interacting with people. I love helping people. And I knew in my heart of hearts that he was going to leverage that in some way, but I could not have told you how that was going to play out. Had no idea. No idea.
Well, and I imagine in a lot of ways it's still unfolding and going to continue to unfold. So just to learn a little bit more about you, before you retired, what kinds of things were you doing for fun and to fill your extracurricular?
Sure. So I'm a fishing nut. So
Okay.
you have to take that, and I don't mean sort of. Every
A
chance I
nut.
can fish, I fish. I fished today. So I mean, literally,
Wow.
yes, I'm not pulling your leg. I went down, fixed the guy's camper, and 30 minutes later, myself and my pups, we were on the water. So,
You're
yeah.
saying, I don't know what happened. I'm out here. How did that happen?
So is this fishing or catching?
This was fishing. This was strictly fishing. There was no catching.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Because there's a distinct
I'm not
difference.
sure I need yeah, right. I don't, I wonder why they even make me get a license because, yeah, I'm just fishing.
There's a
Right.
necessary delineation there. For the many of you who don't go out in your boat and cast a line in the water, there's a difference between fishing and catching. Fishing is what you do to enjoy some quietness and to torment the fish in the water with food, and for them to torment you by stealing your food without actually touching the hook. Catching is where you find a dumb fish that says, I want what's hook, line, and sinker, and then you get to bring them home and eat them and with a tasty breading on top, that kind of thing. So that's the difference between fishing and catching. So, Michael, as you were saying before, during this last year, 16 months, as you said, you spent it in a campground, and God revealed a lot of ministry opportunities for you there, helping people. Really just meeting the needs of whatever they had for the day, whether it was having a conversation, helping some of those chronologically superior folks to you do some things that maybe you could do, but they couldn't do any longer. But you were there to help people. But then you got asked to do something you don't normally do, which is preach. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to roll back just a little bit because I'd forgotten to bring something up when we were talking earlier.
That's fine. That's fine. You go right ahead. Take over the show. We'll just sit back and relax.
Okay, perfect. When I was back in Colorado and doing my fishing stuff there, I was doing quite a bit of guiding. Guiding is not the right word. Mentoring for disabled veterans on the water. So that I knew that I could do something like that here. So when I got here, part of what I did was I bought a boat, not anything fancy, I assure you, pontoon thingy, and I could take people out on the boat, sometimes fishing, just sometimes just to get out on the water. Mm-hmm. But it enabled a lot of conversations. So that led to some relationship building. Over time, I think some of that parlayed into that request to, hey, can you help us fill in? And what had happened was there was an elderly pastor that was doing the Sunday services on the campground, and he got sick toward I guess this was probably a year ago, and that's when they asked me to fill in, maybe a year and a half ago. Started filling in, and then unfortunately he got sicker, and I was filling in more and more, and then ultimately he passed away. Sad part of this story. Wonderful man. Wonderful.
Wait. Stop again. Bad language on the show. Sad part of the story? The guy dies, goes to heaven. That's a sad part?
Yeah, he was just a great man. And I'm just sorry to see him go.
A loss in relationships, but the dude totally won. I mean, we need to have that perspective as believers. I mean, I've argued with people like that all the time. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's not sad. I mean,
He won. Mm-hmm. And there's no question where that man is.
Right.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. So it turned into, in essence, a full-time, well, that's not a good way to put it, an every Sunday opportunity to share the Word of God. Mm-hmm. So I started doing that each Sunday, and that really required some deep digging, right? I started off doing it just topically, right? Topic after topic. You pick it, Holy Spirit, it could be one of 1,000 things. Mm-hmm. So I just pick a topic, whatever the Holy Spirit stuck in my heart for that week is what I preached on. Ultimately, one of the folks there that's a full-timer said, hey, would you be okay walking us through a book of the Bible kind of thing? I'm like, sure, John. So we started on John 1:1 and we're going through John now.
That's awesome.
Then that morphed into, would you do a Bible study for us on Wednesdays? So now we have a Bible study on Wednesday and we're doing Genesis back front to back. So it's turned into quite an experience.
So can you see how as an executive, God was preparing you for preaching and teaching?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Because you
yes.
had to prepare for board meetings. You had to prepare. I mean, had God been preparing you over the years? I mean, how many years have you been a believer?
Since I was 21, so
Okay.
a lot of
So a
years.
few years,
And I'm
let's just say.
26 now, by the way.
Yeah.
I just didn't
Yeah.
age well.
He was
the
born
Martian,
in leap year.
right? In the Martian calendar, right? Yes, you took 26. So, sorry, that just totally threw me off. But can you see the correlation between what God used you for all those decades in industry today in pastoring? I mean, where are the correlations?
Oh, there are multiple. I think the two biggies were being able to communicate with any sort of person from any background, anytime, anywhere, because that's what you get in a campground. You just don't know. I mean, these people, some of them are lifetime RVers. I mean, they literally live in their trailers. They live in their trailers and they move around the country. And some of them have been through some just absolutely brutal stuff in their lives. I think just building or those many years of, being able to spend so much time with people as an executive and also growing up in my earlier years as a non-executive, just spent so much time with people that definitely came into play. You mentioned also, Jim, the preparation for presentations and all that. No question about it. I mean, my brain, when I'm preparing a sermon now, goes, you got to connect all this and you got to get that answer, right? You can't walk in there without that answer. Somebody's going to ask you that answer. So same as I would have done in a business meeting, right? So you don't get blindsided. That led to something, by the way. That led to me going, I'm getting asked questions I don't know the answers to.
Oh.
So at the ripe old age of 65, not 26, at the ripe old age of 65, I signed up at Liberty University to do a master's in theology, specifically around apologetics.
Wow.
That's amazing, because you're diving in to make sure that you're learning more so that you can help others. And I can see the value in that, especially in this time in your life when you have the time to invest in there. You're not taking away from anything. But, I want to just stop and celebrate something for a minute, because I think it's incredibly unique, and maybe I'm wrong in this, that there's a campground that has a regular Sunday service for anyone to attend. So talk about that for a minute. Is that unique at your campground, or have you heard about that other places?
I've heard about it at other places. I don't know how common it is, Martha, but I have heard about it at other places. In fact, one of the other gentlemen that is a friend of Jim's, friend of ours collectively, is doing a similar kind of thing now. And I know there are other campgrounds that do it, but I don't know, what percent of them do that.
Well, you're filling such a need, because I know all the years that we would travel on vacation, when we would travel the same place, we had a church that we always went to, and people thought we were crazy. You're going to church on vacation? But bringing the church to them in a campground, really, you're opening the door for opportunities that people may never enter a traditional church, but nobody's ever going to see them again, right? So what's it going to hurt? I'm just thinking of all the things they might be thinking in their head that you get to encounter when they enter the doors.
I just got goosebumps when you said that, because that is dead on. People come in there and, many of them, now granted, some of these folks are very wealthy and they're in their big, motorhome looking things. But a lot of them are pulling a beat up, travel trailer behind an old pickup truck. And so you never know, right? You never know. But some of them don't have the kind of clothing that would make them feel comfortable walking into some churches, right? They're in, basically camp attire. So they can come in there. And the other thing too, and why I decided to do the Liberty thing, is you never know what you're going to get asked. I mean, if you conduct it in a very open fashion, which I do, I literally conduct it as almost more of a discussion than I call it a spray and pray. It's literally more of a discussion. You don't know what's coming your way next. So to be able to answer some of the very difficult questions, the best degree that I could think of to go after. Now, granted, a degree doesn't mean a lot to me, but classes is apologetics. And that's what I went after, was Christian
That's
apologetics.
fabulous.
And if you can learn your Hebrew and Greek and Aramaic, then I'll be really impressed. All right. So what have you learned about
Don't count
Michael?
on that.
Yeah, I'm not counting on it, honestly.
Good.
What have you learned about Michael Turner, about who God created you to be now that you're in this next phase of life, retirement?
What have I learned about myself? I've learned that I have to prioritize in order to get anything done, because you can stir all day long on stuff. So you've got, what I was going to share toward the end, and it's not even a question that I necessarily figured y'all would ask me, but what were my lessons learned is really a couple things. And are you okay if I twist over to
Sure,
that?
go ahead. You're in
It
charge.
ties into your.
You're used to being an
question.
executive, taking charge.
He's exercising some of that.
You miss being in charge. The board,
Anyway, I think some real keys to what I've learned about myself is to get up every morning or do this the night before. Write down the top 3 things you're going to accomplish the next day toward whatever mission God has you on, and get those 3 things done, no matter what. 3 things, not 10, 3. If it's more than 3, may not get them done, but write them down, whether it's preparing a sermon, whether it's getting answers to questions you got to get answers to, whether it's signing up for a class, whether it's working on a paper, whatever it is, the 3 things that you're going to get done that day, do that. So something I learned about myself, I've always been a list guy, but once I retired, I kind of stopped doing the list every day. Well, that caught up with me. It's really easy to stir.
I
Really
get that.
easy to stir.
On today's podcast, we are absolutely touching just the surface of what retirement can look like for you and how to prepare or to pivot from what daily life is looking like. We've got a resource that we'd like to help you get a hold of to gain perspective, be encouraged, and even adjust your thinking about retirement. We offer our book, I Retire for Him, Unlocking God's Purpose for Your Retirement. This book can be yours for just the cost of shipping. Email me, jim@iworkforhim.com to get a copy. Jim@iwork4him.com. Request a copy. Just cover the shipping. We'll send you the book. Michael, we need to be closing this out, but I want to give the last question to Martha.
All right. So what I want to know is I don't know what question you want me to ask, Jim. I guess we were closing it out. Where do you want me to go?
Why am I? No, you.
Okay. For the people that are listening, Michael, I want to know this. When they're preparing for retirement, what kind of encouragement are you able to give to them? Because, you've kind of been learning as you've gone, and we always love to learn from other people's situations, right? So sometimes we can maybe get there a little faster or avoid some of the missteps or whatever. What would you tell our listeners and how they can start preparing or pivot, as we said, in their retirement?
I'd say first thing, know that it's a blast. Start with that. It really is. Secondly, I think in terms of getting prepared, take care of your health. I know you hear that all the time. But I got to tell you, as a guy that's lived in the campground for 16 months, and now I'm for the
living the cushy life in the condo. Yeah, we understand.
Well, I see it all day long. I was on the phone with one of my buddies that's fighting cancer right now. But you have to take care of your health, exercise, diet, stuff. So I would say preparing for retirement, do whatever you can. Take care of your health now. It'll carry you. Secondly, Lord willing, it'll carry you. Secondly, friends, stay in touch with your friends, dig in deep with your friends, and don't lose that once you retire, because some of them will still be working. Probably most of them will still be working.
Right.
So you have to kind of shift around their schedules, make sure you stay tight with your buddies. Thirdly, figure out a hobby. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have one, great, dig in with that, or find one. It could be anything, musical instrument, a sport, preferably outdoors kind of thing. So, and again, and I shouldn't say again, don't try to do all of this at once in terms of just overwhelming yourself. It's all going to come. The Lord will move the chess pieces, and it will all play out exactly as it should if you continue to stay close to him and pray, Lord, orchestrate my steps today, which is how I started this discussion way back earlier, as you know. But I think that's really key is, Lord, what would you have me do today? What would you have me do today?
Michael, come next spring and people breaking out their campers or motorhomes from all across the country, and they're heading out towards central Georgia. What campground will they find you at next spring?
Lake Oconee, Greensboro, KOA. Lake Oconee, Greensboro, Georgia.
So if you're looking for a place to stay a nice long weekend, a week, or maybe the entire summer,
but
go visit.
For certainly over a Sunday.
That's right. Make sure. I was going to say make sure you're there on a Sunday so you can hear Pastor, Preacher Michael Turner. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. He goes undisguised as the average man preaching the gospel. Way to go, Michael Turner. Make sure you check him out when you get there to Greensboro, Georgia. What a great thing. Michael Turner, thanks for sharing a little bit of your story, for sharing some encouragement for everybody listening. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you guys very much. God bless.
You know, if you're looking for a way to support I Retire for Him in 2026, just round up. We have a program through
Project World Impact
that allows all your purchases to be rounded up on your credit card and donated to our ministry. There's a link. It'll be in the show notes, or you can go to iworkforhim.com/donate to get signed up today. You've been listening to I Retire for Him with your host, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. In this retirement phase of life, we all want our lives to be full of meaning and purpose so that we can say, I retire for Him.
Thanks for listening to I Retire for Him with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Most Christians tend to follow the world's pattern of rest and self-pampering during retirement. However, in your retirement, you can be focused on God's unique call to love, serve, and help others. This can be your best season of life if you take advantage of a life's worth of knowledge and experience and combine it with a greater freedom of time and money and invest it all in the generations both preceding and following you. I Retire for Him is encouraging Christians to find and follow God's call in all seasons and aspects of life, especially in retirement. Join this movement of God so you can say, I retire for Him.